ClaimsHero.io. It's a platform that says it helps regular people get justice from big companies like TikTok for things like privacy violations or even mental health issues caused by video games. Sounds pretty empowering, right? But before we assume it's the real deal, let's take a closer look and see if this site is actually legit. So first things first, we did a quick WHOIS check, and the domain was registered in 2023, which makes it fairly new. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean the site hasn't been around long enough to build a solid reputation yet. So naturally, we kept digging. Now here's a pretty strong green flag. ClaimsHero.io says right on their homepage that they're a real Arizona law firm. They even mention they follow Arizona's Rules of Professional Conduct, which is basically the official rulebook for lawyers. Scammy sites usually don't go through all that legal work, so that gives us some peace of mind. Another good sign? They're super transparent about who's running the show. You can actually see the faces of their leadership team, and they also clearly state their mission, which is to help people get the justice they deserve. That kind of openness is always a good look. They also list a physical address in Oro Valley, Arizona, which checks out and adds another layer of credibility. What's more, they've been featured in major media outlets like Fox News, The New York Times, and Inspire magazine. Big names like these don't usually feature just anyone. So that tells us ClaimsHero.io is at least on the radar and being taken seriously in some circles. One of the best parts, they work on a no-win, no-fee basis. That means you only pay if your claim actually wins. This is how legit law firms often operate, and it's a relief to know you're not risking your own money just for trying. They're also active on social media, posting regularly and keeping followers updated, which shows they're not just some ghost operation. Now, let's talk about user reviews. Unfortunately, there aren't any reviews on their own site or on Trustpilot. But we did find a couple of conversations on Reddit. And this is where things get a bit mixed. One user mentioned that while the site looks legit, it can be a bit misleading, like they're promoting class action cases such as video game addiction lawsuits that haven't actually happened yet. Another person went all in on the criticism, calling the whole thing kind of exploitative and suggesting that the real motivation might be money, not justice. They didn't hold back and were super sarcastic, basically saying, "You'll probably just end up with 702 cents and a whole lot of lawyer profit." So, is ClaimsHero.io legit? Well, yes and no. The site definitely looks more legit than shady. It's a real law firm, they're transparent, have media coverage, and they don't charge up front. But the fact that it's still new, lacks verified user reviews, and is getting some skeptical comments online means you should approach with some caution. It's not necessarily a scam, but it's also not a guaranteed win. Alright, that's it for today's breakdown. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you use a site like this? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you found this video helpful. Catch you in the next one.